Okay, so I think we're nearing the end of this series, I think. I could very well find more things to talk about. But so I was going to talk about going home. And someone came in my office. I had to turn it off and start over. But okay, so we're going to talk about my trip home. So, okay, we were at the day where I was headed home at 3 o'clock. They told me I was going to be discharged at like 8 o'clock. I was finally going home. I mean, it literally took all day long. It was ridiculous, the amount of time it takes to get out of a hospital. So we finally get our papers, and I'm leaving, and me and my husband are headed out, and the nurse, they got to take me out to the door and to the out, whatever. And we get out to the car, finally, after a long, long, long day of waiting. And my husband said he went to get the car while the nurse walked me down. So the car was waiting kind of in the little vestibule area. So he hops out of the car and he comes over and he's getting me out of the wheelchair to get ready to stand me up to put me in. Now I drove a big old expedition and I'm only 4'8", and I'm just out of a coma, getting out of the hospital. So it's going to be interesting to get in the car to begin with. So get ready to put me in the car, and he's like, crap. He had locked the car with the car running in the vestibule in front of the hospital. So funny. So funny. Well, the only other key is in, the other town where we're living. Well, it's not even in the same town. So he's like, crap. I don't want to leave her out here, and I'm released. Don't know where to put me now. And there we are out there. So my sister, the older one, she comes over there. We call her, and she comes over there, and she gives us her car. She's waiting in the vestibule with the car that's locked running on someone to bring keys from the house to let her in, so then now she can drive to the town that we live in and trade cars, giving my car back, and we take her, and she takes her car and goes home. So that was my trip leaving the hospital. So we're in my sister's car, which was a much easier car for me to get into, as she drove at that time a Sebring. So it was really low to the ground, which was really, really good for me because it was easier for me to get in the car. And so we get in there, and then we first start like giggling. Okay, we're giggling because we cannot believe he locked us out of the car, and it's running, sitting in front of the hospital where, like the ambulances go. That is so funny to me, even still. I giggle. So we're driving down the road, and we're giggling, whatever, and all of a sudden he like reaches over and takes my hand, and all of a sudden he starts bawling, like bawling. Driving down the road, just bawling. And so we get to the area where we, have to turn. You have to turn one way or the other. And so we turn, and he pulls off on the side of the road. And he just pulls over and just bawls like a baby. And I'm like, baby, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. And he said, I never thought I would be bringing you home. He just thought he was going to be burying me. He did not think the day would come that I would actually come home. And it was so, we just sat there on the side of the road with the car running in traffic, not in a parking lot, just sitting on the side of the road, and bawled for like ever, because he just thought I wasn't gonna live, period. And you know, his whole story of this whole thing is probably way different than mine because his was so traumatic. I slept through the whole thing. You know, this is kind of the good side of the story, because I don't have the same story as everybody else. It didn't affect me the way it affected everybody else emotionally because I was slept through the whole thing. Now him and my son and my family and my friends, they have a completely different story about this entire situation. And his ain't no good. I mean, like, it's, I don't like to get him talking about it because, you know, it's not good. It's, not only did he come out completely white-headed and a changed person, but I'm just going to be straight up honest. When I went into the hospital, and he's going to kill me for saying this because, you know, it's just not the way that a man is supposed to be portrayed, but I was the boss in our household. And he had allowed it until that point because, you know, I was a lot like my mother up and until that point. It was basically my way or the highway, and if you wanted to get along with me, you do what I say, and you do what I tell you to do, or we're going to fight. And that was just the way it was. I ran everything because it was what I required. And he had allowed it up until that point. And I realize now it was him allowing it. Because when I got sick and he had to take over, he had to pay the bills, he had to, you know, be the sole parent and be the sole provider and I don't mean provider, but you know what I mean, the caregiver for our child and build the house and work 40 hours a week, which I'm not saying that KB Home wasn't amazing to him because they were. They helped him out tremendously. He hadn't been on the job, but I think first part of that year, or maybe in February of that year that that the robbery happened in May, and then I went in the hospital in December. So less than a year, and they were so good to him, so good to him. So he took the reins, and he has never put them down. He has never put them down for 1 second. Not only am I a completely different person from this experience, but he is a completely different person. He don't take no crap. You do what he says, and he is the one in control, which is the way it should be. It's always the way it should have been. You know, it was never my place to be the head of the household. And I love it now that I don't, you know, have to be the one, the boss, you know, I still do all the day-to-day stuff. I do all the shopping and take care of the household and all of that kind of stuff. And we kind of share the bills. He never gave the bills back up until that point. He didn't even really know what we owed or what we did or how we paid the bills or who we paid the bills to. He didn't know all that. I did that because, you know, I managed a bank and it was just like second nature for me, and he just let me do it. No, he's never took his hand off of the finances since then. He's never took his hand off of anything since then. So it definitely changed him as well. And so a lot more things happened in the coming months of me. I'll tell you this story, and it's kind of cute. But, you know, I was just learning how to walk, right? I mean, I did not think I could navigate those stairs to get back up into my mother-in-law's house because my house still wasn't done. And, you know, I had to climb them stairs, and I was like, how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? I mean, I maybe didn't weigh as much as I do now, but I was a hefty little chunk. So this is what they did. So we get home, and my husband and my cousin Brad and my brother-in-law David, They sit me in a chair. I don't know why I just did that. I don't know what that did to us. But they sit me in a kitchen chair and they lift sides and they carry me in, afraid to jostle me. They're like, carrying me in the house. It was hilarious because, I couldn't go up those stairs. I could barely even walk. I couldn't, I did have a walker to stand up and move forward and all that kind of stuff, but I couldn't even navigate to the bathroom by myself yet because, it was a mobile home. You go down a hallway and you navigate doors and, whatever. You've all been in a mobile home. So we stayed there. So this was March. And June went around, July went around. Well, we went all the way through to September there. I know because that's when September 11th happened. And I was still at the house. My house wasn't finished. I don't really remember when we moved into the house, to be honest. But so even through September 11th, because I remember sitting in my in-laws' living room whenever the towers fell, watching it. So, or maybe that happened before I was sick. But either way, I was sitting in my in-laws' living room. Oh, that's terrible. See, my memory, I have lapses. I don't remember if that happened before I was sick or after I was sick. That happened before I was sick, huh? So it happened in 2000 or 2001. I don't know. Anyways, you all know. Anyways, I was in my in-laws. So, I had to navigate those stairs to get up and down, and that took a while. Just getting to the doctor and getting checkups and all that kind of stuff. But the rest of it was all healing other than the crazy nurse. Oh, she was hilarious. I loved when Romina came because she always had funny stories, and other than the fact that I had to deal with the pain, the horrid pain of that big old hole in my back, which we'll talk about that real quick. So, it was real big. And I guess every week it got smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, so I came home in March, and April, May, June, July, August. I think it was either August or September. I'd have to go back to my journals before that wound vac healed that wound. So all of that time I was hooked up to this wound vac. I would have to look at my calendar to see the exact date. But it took months and months and months of rehabilitation. And, when she was there, we would do exercises. Not only did she care for the wound, but she did all the other respiratory checkups and the stability training and the reteaching me things. So all of that happened with Romina. That was I really liked her a lot. So this is pretty much the end of the story. I did not ever go back to the bank in 2004. I finally just settled in, and I never went back. And a lot of that was due to just healing. Not really so much because by that time I could actually go into the bank and I was fine. But they had already had someone was in my position, and her name's Lisa, and I love her. She's doing a great job there. But so that's pretty much, that's literally like 5 years of my life in a month, I told you, or maybe a month and a week. I don't remember how long I've videoed this, but that's it. And I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm sorry for the tears and a few of the laughters. That was fun. But there's my story. So I am literally a living miracle because on film, my lungs don't work because they still have that same look. They don't work. I should not by all rights be breathing and functioning and talking and singing and all that great stuff that I do. And so there you go. There's my story. And I know that there's probably a lot that I missed, which is why everybody said you need to write it in a book, because I'll remember things periodically. So if I remember things on, maybe talking with Gina on Tuesdays, I'll add things from here on out. But that's it, and I hope you enjoy this little series, and I think I'm going to post them on Thursdays. I'm not 100% sure, but whatever day you're watching them, I hope you enjoyed it, and there's Gina. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.